Hello and welcome in to the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, breaking down District 1 and 2 activities week in, week out in the great state of Idaho. It's presented by No Vape Idaho. Be smart, don't start. My name is Brandon Baney. We are joined by our North Idaho expert, Ryan Scaggs. What's up, Scaggs?
What's going on?
What are you drinking today?
A little kombucha. Non-alcoholic, of course, but I don't know. I'm hooked on this stuff. I don't drink soda. And so, go to make the old Costco run and found kombucha in cans. And I'm like, yeah, I'm hooked.
I thought you were cool, but
I know, right? The next thing you know, I'm going to start wearing flannels and growing my hair out and change my name to some hipster name like Sage or something like that.
Oh man, that's funny. My wife and I like to poke fun at the people that move to North Idaho from other states and kind of how hipstery and trendy they like to be. And
yes,
this is that. And we were trying to think, we're like, what is the most obnoxious hipstery name that we could come up with? And my wife nailed it. She goes, "Hi, this is my daughter, Patagonia." And
oh my gosh. My son's Sequoia.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
That's funny.
This
is my dog Eddie and Bauer.
Yeah. I'm gonna jot that down.
Patagonia. You just gave somebody sitting there and they're gonna thumb through the internet and be like, "That's a genius name for a child."
Yeah, I get the naming rights. Yeah. That's how that works. Anyways, welcome in. It's the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, Twitter account. Of course, you can watch this on replay anytime and listen to the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com or wherever you download and subscribe to podcasts. All right, Scaggs, we're going to be very basketball heavy on this week's edition, but there are a few wrestling nuggets we did want to get out of the way here. We're preparing for district tournament time. They're mostly, we're down to a couple of duels left or maybe a tri-match here or there, but next week it's districts. In 2 weeks, it's state. And the big storyline in North Idaho is Post Falls, right there, the team that represents the best chance of going down and coming home with a first place trophy at that 5A tournament. They've been injury tested this year, though. Ryder Seguin has been out for a number of weeks. Trey Smith, we chronicled the very scary infection he developed right on his knee. Positive news last night on our Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast, Scaggs. Ryder is back and competed last week. He's ready to go. Trey is going to attempt to come back, which would be just an incredible story. I'll admit, I thought he was done for the season, but if he can come back in time for districts and state, that's going to help Post Falls significantly.
Yeah, that for me, that's just absolutely baffling. I mean, when I had that same infection, I was in the hospital for over a month. And, they had I don't know exactly the extent of what they did surgically to that leg to get the infection out, but I mean, basically, I had a plug of flesh, basically removed from my body. And you could look into the wound and almost see all the way down to my fibula. And, if that's the case and how they went through that surgical procedure with him and he's able to come back, I mean, that is, holy cow, that kid's got some kahunas on him. I mean, as far as just being able to have the drive to do it. And that's, I mean, a testament, I know, to him and how hard he works and that he just wants to win. But at the same time, that's an injury. Nobody's going to fault the kid if he doesn't come back. That's just something that, you don't really have control over, getting an infection to that level. So if he's able to make it back and make a run at the state tournament, I mean, I don't know how that's not one of the stories of the year. That's an amazing comeback story for what's gone on this season.
Yeah, it would be just remarkable if that were to occur. Yep. So, our thoughts and prayers continue to be with Trey as he recovers from this, for sure. So, yeah, Post Falls is the team with all of the buzz here coming down the stretch. And along those lines, Al Fontes, our great wrestling contributor, of course, he does his Hidden Gems of Idaho series where he goes one-on-one and introduces the state to a wrestler that may not have much acclaim yet, but is somebody that's worthy of that attention. He is putting the finishing touches on his latest Hidden Gems series with Tyson Barnhart from Post Falls High School, which is going to be, I think, a really powerful story once that's shared.
Yeah, no, there's so many kids in North Idaho that are, we saw the story about Hoyt Haas last week that Al put together, and there's a number of those type of stories and those type of kids up here, and just there's great families and great stories. And so kudos to Al putting that together and putting the spotlight on kids, not just up here but statewide. I mean, like, wrestling is one of those sports that doesn't get the notoriety like basketball does, and the fact that you've put together an awesome panel for the weekly Mat Chat, even though you keep stepping in it with talking about basketball during it, which I'm starting to think you're doing on purpose, just because you like to stir the pot. But in saying that, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody else that's given the ground as far as the podium for wrestling to kind of have some talk in the forefront, and it's great because it's helped not only the boys side, but it's the side of the girls. That's growth. I mean, and statewide, like, it's going to be one of the bigger state tournaments in the country for girls, and that's awesome to see the growth that's taken place. And with Title IX and everything that's in place, being able to see coaches be hired to be dedicated just to be the girls coach, and we're seeing more of that, and that's an awesome thing. And that the rising tides lift all boats. As girls wrestling steps up, it's going to grow boys wrestling too. And Idaho's already shown on the national stage what it can do competition wise, and at the collegiate level even too. With having a former Post Falls wrestler being ranked #1 currently in the nation for Nebraska, like, there's all sorts of cool stuff that's come out of stories from the state of Idaho. So wrestling's in good hands right now, and in a really good spot in the state of Idaho. And I thank people like Al for putting the spotlight in wrestling.
We do have Hoyt and Brock in the chat. North Idaho girls are showing out. No doubt about
it.
They
are. Yeah, they are. It's been awesome.
The Jaybird Memorial Tournament, the biggest girls meet of the year, was held this past weekend at Columbia High School. Jolie Slider went down and cleaned up like she typically does. And so she is going to be part of a group if she can continue to progress here. When she was a freshman, it was the first officially sanctioned year for Idaho high school girls wrestling. So she's kind of one of the pioneers here of it being an officially sanctioned sport. But of course, the original pioneer in North Idaho, I think of Alyssa Randalls from Coeur d'Alene, right? She competed before it was officially recognized by the IHSAA, and what she has done has laid the groundwork for so many other incredible young women up here in North Idaho. Just phenomenal. So
yeah, no, I think the programs in North Idaho kind of set the gold standard for girls wrestling statewide. When you look at Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls and Moscow and Lewiston, as far as some of the teams that have kind of spearheaded this movement, and the growth, and like Hoyt said, with showing out, the girls have been awesome this year, especially from North Idaho. Bonners Ferry's got a crazy good program. Sandpoint's got some good kids. It's been awesome to see the growth. Potlatch even has a girl that's really, really good too. So, I mean, the small schools are getting in the mix also.
Yep. Shout out to Jordan Tyler from Sandpoint as well. You mentioned Sandpoint, it made me think of it. He crossed the 100 win mark for his career last week, which is outstanding. And look at this little insider info here from Hoyt. North Idaho's little secret is Lewiston's Emma Rivera. Keep your eye out for her. NIR champ. Okay.
It's awesome.
We love it.
Yeah, no, and especially I think of all the Prepcasts, we might talk about wrestling the most, or at least the most in depth, to pat ourselves on the back in here. But we've got great families like the Haas family and other families, the Zimmermans, and that have been awesome with sport of wrestling. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool to see how things go, especially at the state tournament. I mean, can North Idaho bring home the lion's share of the titles come state time for girls? I mean, it's yet to be seen. I think we got a really good shot.
Yeah, in terms of individuals, yes, I think so. Clearwater Classic champ as well for Emma Rivera, and 4th at the Jaybird last week. So we'll keep an eye out. Team-wise, Thunder Ridge, and then Canyon Ridge and then Jerome are kind of your team title favorites. But individually, yes, North Idaho has a great shot there at girls state. All right, talking hoops. Bruce says, I lasted less than 5 minutes last night, Ryan.
He's one of the genuinely good guys around too. I've known Bruce for years, and he loves the sport of wrestling too. It's cool to see him actually checking in, and he's gonna have to listen to some pumpkin pushing for a little while as we talk about basketball. So
yeah, he might. Yeah, we'll see. He might dip out here.
We'll give you the heads up when we make the transition, Bruce. You can go and say goodbye.
Yep, there's your warning. There's the off ramp if you want to just go back and re-listen to the Matt Chat Prepcast. Okay, here's a comment from Melissa. She says, let's see if Max Preps gets it right to not put Cole Valley and Melba against each other in the first round of state. They just played in the district championship game, so this will kind of segue into our girls basketball discussion, where I will put the girls district tournament brackets up on the screen. We'll kind of dissect what's been happening so far. One bid officially clinched to state so far, and we will get to that in a moment. But let's start with 2A, because we've talked about this ad nauseum, where Cole Valley, Melba, and Grangeville, and really it's Grangeville, Cole Valley, Melba, 1, 2, 3. Those are your kind of consensus top 3 teams this year. And the last time we checked, they were all going to be on the same side of the bracket. Scaggs, I've got bad news. It's still looking that way. You're still looking at Grangeville as your 1 seed. If everything goes to form, and we think everything's going to play out the way it does, Grangeville will be your 1 seed at state, very well earned. Cole Valley Christian will be the 4 seed. Melba will be the 5 seed. So all of them are going to be front loaded on this top half of the bracket. And I don't understand it.
It makes me sick to my stomach, man. Like, I look at it, but I said my piece last week about it, and I'm just going to stand on it that, like, until we get a human element involved, like, we're doing the kids a disservice. Like, what else do I got to say? Like,
right.
And I mean, wrestling can get it right. Let's bring wrestling back into the picture. They can get it very right. Why can't the other sports? Like, we rely on this computer aided formula. Like, I don't understand. I really don't understand it.
Yep. And again, with everything we say about Max Preps, we are light years ahead of where we used to be, where it was, all right, we're going to pull out ping pong balls and randomly drop the bracket that way. Yeah. Chris says Cole Valley should jump North Fremont in the rankings, but they won't. Yes. And I would argue Bear Lake also. Bear Lake is 19-3, which is impressive, but then you go underneath the hood and they haven't played nearly as rigorous of a schedule as Melba, Cole Valley, or Grangeville. So it's just, yeah, it's a lot of messiness right now. But speaking of that, let's take a look at the 2A Central Idaho League tournament. Scaggs district championship is tonight, Wednesday night in Grangeville, 1 versus 2, kind of like we expected. It is Kellogg against Grangeville. Each team, I love how condensed this tournament is. This is a true tournament. Monday, play-in game. Orofino beats St. Mary's 40-19. The next night is your first round. Grangeville beat Orofino last night, 77-25. Kellogg beats Priest River 48-30. No time to breathe. Third night in a row, we're playing. It's Priest River and Orofino in a loser-out game. Grangeville at Kellogg. And by the way, whoever survives this game over here will have to play the loser 4 games in 4 days, Scaggs, just to play a play-in game against Ambrose.
Yeah, and that's but the thing is, I look at this, man, I'm telling you, the more I see this Kellogg team play, the more I'm not like thinking, like you said, that like they're gonna bounce out in a playing game. I think they're gonna make a heck of a lot of noise in a playoff game situation. This Kellogg team can play, they can shoot the ball, they play good defense. This is a team that I think would give an Ambrose absolute fits. I really do think Kellogg is somebody to be reckoned with. Whether or not they get the win, I don't know. I just think it's going to be a competitive game. I look at Grangeville as the favorite. Coach Barger does such a phenomenal job. I don't want to say it's going to be a runaway victory for Grangeville, but I don't think that they want to mess around with playing a couple more games until state. So I look at the Bulldogs taking care of business tonight.
Yep. I think it's going to go just kind of chalky here. And I'm getting less and less confident with my Kellogg prediction with each, because when it was Kellogg and New Plymouth in my projections, I was like, yes, I think New Plymouth is better. Then I was projecting Kellogg and Nampa Christian, and I was like, yeah, I still kind of lean Nampa Christian. Now that it's Ambrose, they're the 5 seed from District 3. I'm gonna stick with Ambrose. I'm a man of my word, but Kellogg Nation, I would love to be wrong. I'll come back here and wear it for sure if I'm wrong about this. But big news, Scaggs. Whoever gets there, whether it's Kellogg or Orofino or Priest River or probably not going to be Grangeville, but whoever it is, this game right here, this state tournament play-in game, going to be broadcasted on IdahoSports.com Saturday from McCall Donnelly High School. So you get to tune in and watch your team try to advance to state. How cool is that?
The Winter Festival going on right now too in Kellogg? I think it starts this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, or next weekend. But anyways, like that's a fun time to be down in McCall. Like So sorry if I said Kellogg, I meant McCall. But
yes.
Yeah, no, that's a good time to be in McCall. It's a fun time. But should be a great game. Like I said, I like the Wildcats. I really do think that if Kellogg ends up in that spot, that's a team that can give an Ambrose team fits.
We'll see. It's going to be very interesting for sure. All right, let's give our flowers to Coach Nicole Simmons and the Coeur d'Alene Vikings, the first team from North Idaho to officially clinch a spot at state at the 5A district tournament. They beat Lake City last night, 50-31. This was an absolute butt whipping, no matter which way you slice it up.
Yeah, no, they came in with a perfect game plan. Frustrating. Waddington down low, you just kind of maul and mug and try to make your guards beat you. And that's what the recipe for success. And then having Tegan Colvin back in the lineup at full strength, full go. You talk about a game changer on the floor. She went off for over 20 last night. And that was, and then it doesn't hurt when you knock down, I think 12 3-pointers or something like that in the game for Coeur d'Alene. That'll win you some ball games. So, that's a recipe for success for Coeur d'Alene. They're going to find themselves hopefully on a top 4 seed line. I don't know if that's going to end up being the case at state or not, but Lake City, they're going to have to win against Post Falls tonight, which I think they do, and then find themselves in that ever so dreaded play-in game at Grangeville on Saturday.
Yeah, so here is how the seedings would go. If Lake City were to advance to state, Scaggs, if they can beat Post Falls in this third place game Thursday night and then beat whoever comes out of District 3 in this play-in game, they would be the number 1 seed, according to Max Preps, which makes sense. Only 2 losses all year, 1 to Coeur d'Alene, 1 to Rocky Mountain, and they beat Boise. So, and these could change, right? Because the last update was done Monday, the 5th. So
strength of schedules improve as district tournament play goes on. So, yeah.
But also the margin here against Coeur d'Alene may affect Lake City also. But right now it's Lake City 1, Boise 2, Rigby 3, Coeur d'Alene 4. So if Lake City gets to state, they could be on the same side of the bracket as Coeur d'Alene.
A semifinal matchup, possibly. Wow.
And then, of course, if Lake City doesn't make it, then Coeur d'Alene could slot up to the 3 seed, where then they would be on the same side of the bracket as Rigby. And they, of course, played at the Tarkanian Classic in Las Vegas earlier this year.
Yep.
No matter how you slice it, this 5A tournament is just going to have fantastic matchups up and down the board. And honestly, every game's going to be tight. So it's down to which team doesn't get caught up in the moment and the bright lights and makes plays is the team that's going to win the 5A state championship this year.
Who's able to utilize their bench and stay out of foul trouble too. I think that's really going to come down into it too. Cause that SIC tournament's no slouch. And, even look at East Idaho. You got some good teams over there in East Idaho that have been playing good basketball as well, that there's teams going to be coming in and they're going to be battle tested, but also possibly battle weary. So who's got the bench, who's coming back into the fold at full strength. That's going to be kind of the test to see, come state time. That's going to be, I think, a fascinating state tournament this year.
Yeah, can't wait for it. Shout out to Post Falls. They held on by their fingernails last night against Lewiston in a loser-out game, 60-58. Lewiston, what a hard-fought battle and a great first season for Coach Julie Fisher. They were competitive in just about every contest this year, refused to go down. They were down in the second half, made a fourth quarter rally. It came up just short. So Post Falls stays alive. They get to travel to Lake City Thursday night for a chance to topple the apple cart, and Post Falls could have a chance then at the state play-in game. We'll have to wait and see, but
yeah, they got 23 from Brooklyn Brennan last night, if I'm not mistaken. So they'd need another huge night from her and some supporting cast to go with it to knock off, have a chance of knocking off Lake City tonight.
Yep. The next biggest story, Scaggs, was right here in the 3A Intermountain League, where Timberlake swept Bonners Ferry, therefore got the number 1 seed for this best of 3 series. But then Monday night, Bonners Ferry gets a 55-53 victory. And the key was they had 4 players in double figures in scoring. Markin Pluid led the way, but then they had 3 others, get 10. And so that balance was too much for Timberlake to overcome. And so they get a 55-53 win. Scaggs, I went back and researched this for my bracketology update. Yeah. Bonners Ferry, until Monday night, had not beaten Timberlake in over 9 years. Can you even believe that?
It's been a while. I was going to say it was something like, I can't remember, was it 26 consecutive meetings or something like that? I think it was. And that
24.
Was 24. Yeah. So, I mean, hats off to the Badgers. They got a recipe that was almost did the job earlier this year, and then finally were able to get the monkey off their back in game 1. I mean, this is going to be pretty pivotal. I mean, did you wake the sleeping monster and see if Timberlake's going to come storming back, or can you force a if Timberlake able to force a 3-game series? I mean, this is going to be pretty telling that if Bonners Ferry wins tonight, they earn their ticket in. I mean, they took on one of the best teams at 3A in the state for the last, better part of a decade. And Timberlake, can they show their mettle and be who we thought they were at the beginning of the season and close this out? It's going to be a great game tonight. I look at this one. This is going to be the marquee matchup in North Idaho, in my opinion. So it's definitely a game to keep your eye on.
And again, statewide 3A state tournament, this thing is wide open. Every team that's coming to state has warts on their resume, has flaws. Snake River is missing their star point guard. Parma is missing their point guard. Fruitland has played so many close games, and it's been a while since they've been to state. Teton looks to be the most complete team, but they lost to Sugar Salem, and Sugar didn't even take second in their district. So Filer is solid, but they lost to Kimberly. Every team, whoever gets there, Bonners Ferry or Timberlake, is going to have a puncher's chance, only because I'm not sure I could point at one team and go, this is the team to beat in 3A. They're all pretty equal.
I wish that there was the 0.5 bid, man. Talk about 2 teams that are deserving of being there. Like, these 2 teams both deserve to be in. I mean, it's a shame that one of these has to go home and end their season after this week. But, man, what a nice – it's been a nice little rivalry that's brewed this year and we've seen grow. And, it's going to be a heck of a ball game tonight.
Timberlake has to run the table here. And since Matt Miller has been coaching Timberlake, they have been the puncher, not the punchy, more times than not. They have lost a couple of times to Kellogg over the years when Kellogg was in the IML, and they did lose a play-in game to Weiser a couple of years ago. But from Bonners Ferry, that was the one thing you could count on if you're a Timberlake fan. And now, okay, backs against the wall. We got to run the table. I cannot wait for this game tonight in Timberlake. It's going to be fun. Yep. For sure. Okay, let's go 4A. This is the Inland Empire League. We had our play-in game Monday. Moscow went to Lakeland. Hawks hold serve at home. They win 55-42. This now sets up a very intriguing best of 3 game series between Lakeland and Sandpoint. Scaggs, Sandpoint swept the regular season series, but the games were close. Now, in Coach Love, we trust. You convinced me of that last week. But what does Lakeland have to do to pull off the upset here and steal this bid from Sandpoint to go to state?
Sandpoint's just known for winning ugly. And, it's a win in the win column. Wins and losses don't look any different. They look the same if it's by 2 or if it's by 22. It still counts as a win, right? So, but the thing is that Coach Love's been so good about utilizing that bench. Lakeland's got to be able to get the starters in trouble early. I think Lakeland's just going to have to pin their ears back and go right at them and go strength on strength and just hope that your players have a better night. I mean, if you're able to get some magic working down low in the post and then, get players like Kiefer in the mix as well and be able to work things out, like Lakeland's got a shot. They got a good lineup. But, Sandpoint's been able to, I think, withstand everybody's puncher's shot this year. They've taken haymakers from everyone, and more often than not have ended up on the plus side of the column. But if Lakeland can steal a game just like Bonners Ferry and force that game 3, I mean, this thing gets real interesting real fast. But Sandpoint, if they're going to want to, I think, put away Lakeland, they would have to come out hot tonight and just almost make it a mental affair of, like, I don't want to say demoralize your opponent, but if Sandpoint wants to walk away with this one, they'd have to take care of business tonight. Otherwise, if it goes, Lakeland steals a game here, they're deadly. It's dangerous giving those teams hope late in the season, especially a team that's got some pieces that can play basketball. So, but I still believe in Coach Love and his crew. But I mean, this Lakeland team they're not bad. They're pretty good. So it's definitely, I don't want to say it's going to be a cakewalk for Sandpoint to win this thing, but Lakeland's got a puncher's chance. Absolutely.
And unlike Timberlake and Bonners Ferry, where Timberlake gets home court advantage throughout the 3-game series, if Lakeland gets the win tonight, home court flips to Lakeland.
Yeah.
The game 1 winner gets to host game 2. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. That starts tonight in Sandpoint, 7:00. All right, let's go to the 1As. Let's start tonight. We've got a district championship double dip for you on IdahoSports.com, Scaggs. I'm going to be on the call, and I have enlisted our number 1 supporter, Sam. Sam's going to come and help out with the broadcast tonight. I'm so excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got a good one there. That'll be fun. Two games. I mean, I look at Clark Fork and Mullen. I really do look at Clark Fork walking away with the title tonight in this game. But, I mean, it's just been Mullen's one of those teams. You said that, like, they had to recruit 8th graders to complete the roster and the lineup. So I like the Wampus Cats in this one, and then they're going to have to go play in that ever so famous, fun, everybody loves playing game from a district championship standpoint. That's going to be a test for the Wampus Cats, but I at least look for them to get the win tonight.
Yeah, there's really no drama here. Clark Fork will win this. I'm not saying because, I mean, Mullen just 7 players, 3 of them are 8th graders. It is what it is. But Wampus Cats will get to tune in tonight on IdahoSports.com. And then Scaggs, I don't know if you saw where this play-in game's at, but McCall Donnelly High School, that state play-in game is going to be on IdahoSports.com as well. So Wampus Cat Nation, you're going to get back-to-back games for your Clark Fork Wampus Cats tonight in the district championship, Saturday in that play-in game on IdahoSports.com. You can't ask for more than that.
There you go. No, you can't. Yeah, no, the Wampus Cats love us up there. They do a great job supporting us, and we love to support them. So it's great to see some success from that girls team. And maybe they go full Hoosiers and they steal a victory on Saturday. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, more than likely they'll be playing Rockland in that play-in game. So it's kind of revenge from volleyball season where Clark Fork and Rockland met in that play-in match, and Rockland got the win there. So tonight at North Idaho College, 5:30, Clark Fork versus Mullen on IdahoSports.com. That will be followed by the Scenic Idaho Conference Championship between Wallace and Lakeside, 1 versus 2 at 7:00 tonight. Also on IdahoSports.com, also from North Idaho College. Lakeside won on Monday night over Genesis Prep, 54-34. I was courtside for that game, Scaggs. I was on the PA mic, so I got to take in the action. I got to see this Lakeside team with my own eyes for the first time. I'm impressed. Really, this game comes down to Wallace has size and spades. Lakeside does not. Can their guards outproduce Wallace's posts?
That's the thing, is dribble penetration, maybe get some foul trouble, find yourself at the line, getting some free buckets. Like, that's, if you're going to have a recipe for success for Lakeside in tonight's ball game, I think that's how you're going to get it done, is that you're just going to have to attack, and see if you can draw fouls and get the referees involved a little bit too. If you're Wallace, I mean, you're going to want to slow the game down. I think you just really want to work your offensive set, get it down low, and see what comes out of it. Maybe you get some, I don't want to say hack-a-shack situation setting up, but you're going to find yourself at the free throw line, maybe getting some buckets, especially if you're, drawing the defense from smaller defenders.
Yep. These teams played in the regular season. Lakeside won the first matchup by 3, 38-35. Wallace won the rematch by 3 in overtime, 53-50. We talked about that. It was just last week. And then we said, because they had tied for the league title, they held the coin flip. Scaggs, I did find out later in the chat from Wallace Athletics Facebook, they did hold that coin flip right after that overtime game. They said, all right, we're here. We're flipping the coin. And Wallace won the coin flip, which was cool for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, don't be surprised if you get some bonus ball tonight. I mean, that game realistically could go OT again.
Yep. Okay. Real quick. You mentioned Lakeside's got to stay out of foul trouble. They got into foul trouble Monday night against Genesis Prep. 2 starters, Kimberly Pluff and Destiny Lowley, each picked up 3 fouls in the first half of action. Now, Tyler Lambert came in and gave Lakeside some huge minutes off the bench. But I'm with you. Lakeside's got to stay out of foul trouble if they're gonna hang in there tonight. But that'll be a really fun one. So a doubleheader tonight from North Idaho College on IdahoSports.com. Mullen versus Clark Fork at 5:30. Lakeside versus Wallace at 7 o'clock. So
you and Buff, that's awesome. That'll be fun. I'll have to tune in.
Yep, looking forward to it. Okay, White Pine League. Let's go D1 first. Lapwai and Prairie playing for the district championship Thursday night at Lewiston High School. On the back end of the bracket, in the loser-out game preceding it, it's number 3, Kamei, number 5, Genesee. This is pretty much gone according to schedule here. Tight semifinal on Saturday between Prairie and Kamei. The Pirates win by 6, 45-39. Kamei then beats Troy in this loser-out game, 55-42. Genesee beats Potlatch, 67-54. I like Kamei to advance here. And really, Lapwai, Prairie, Kamei, any combination of the 3 could get to state. Officially, I'm still going to stick with Prairie as your district champ, Lapwai as your second-place team, only because they split in the regular season and Prairie won the most recent matchup. But honestly, all 3 teams are state tournament quality squads.
Yeah, and I look at this one, and I'm going to go opposite. I think Lapwai gets the win tonight, but I realistically could see them playing each other at state, and the result flips, just like last year. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. So, but yeah, both these. I mean, there's 3 teams in this deal that realistically deserve their shot at going and playing in the state tournament. I mean, really, Kamei is another team out there that's been playing really good ball this year, and they showed it. Obviously, they lost a tight one to Prairie on Saturday, but they were able to get the win. Over a decent Troy team. I mean, pretty convincingly too. So, finding their way into that third place ipso facto type game against Genesee. There's some intrigue in that one though, because Genesee can make things interesting. So it'll be an interesting matchup. I think but I like Prairie Lapwai combination 1-2 coming out of the conference.
Yep, for sure. It's going to be a really intense battle down the stretch. And speaking of intense battles, we should have one tonight at Lapwai High School for the 1AD2 White Pine District title. Kendrick and Deary, 1 versus 2. Before that, we will have number 3 St. John Bosco, number 4 Nez Perce as well in a loser-out battle. Winner of that will play the loser of Kendrick and Deary. 2 spots to state on the line here. I still like Kendrick. I still like Deary. In which order, though, remains to be seen.
I like the Tigers closing things out. They got a bit of an axe to grind this year. You look at there's an edge to that team. I know that the games have been close this year between the 2. I just think Kendrick closes out. They hold serve, and they end up punching the auto bid. But, I mean, Deary, they're, like I said, we've been sleeping on Deary. I think it's the most slept on team probably in any classification statewide this year, kind of flying under the radar as far as resume that they've put together. This Mustang team's good, and they can definitely do some damage Coming state tournament time, this is a team that nobody wants to see on their seed line. Absolutely, you don't want to see them when you're half the bracket.
And I've said it all year. Kendrick and Deary are each top 4 teams in the state of Idaho this year.
Absolutely.
I can't get anybody else in the media convinced of that when we vote in the media poll. But hey, you can be a second place team in your league and still be a top 4 team at state. I mean, it definitely is possible. So, anyways, all right, that's our girls basketball whip around. Hey, Wallace Minor Athletics in the chat. Go Miners, #Minor Pride. We're so happy that we're able to broadcast these district championship games tonight. I'm looking forward to what should be a great atmosphere there at NIC for sure.
Yeah, no, it should be great games. And the nightcap's going to be a dandy of a ball game. You got yourself a great one.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at your North Idaho 9 for this week, Scaggs. After some surprising results, you had to make a couple of changes here. We'll have it across the bottom line here on the screen, but if you're listening audio only as well, Ryan's going to run through them. This is his North Idaho 9, his power rankings of the 9 best girls basketball teams in North Idaho, regardless of classification. Here we go.
So number 1, a little bit of a mix-up here. We got a shake-up this week. Coeur d'Alene, after the drubbing of Lake City, they're going to draw that top seed this week in my power ranking. What it means, absolutely nothing, but it's just my personal opinion. So I got Lake City 2, Sandpoint holds at 3, Grangeville at 4, Timberlake still at 5, even though they took the lump to Bonners Ferry, but the Badgers find their way back in at number 9. But I think the intrigue there is going to be the Lapway, Kendrick Prairie, kind of 6 through 8 right there. They're all kind of interchangeable. I know that they've had some back and forth battles this year. I know Lapway and Kendrick split. Which is going to be, we talk about future tense next year in girls basketball. You talk about an intriguing conference with Kendrick entering the fold into the White Pine at 1A, well, now 2A. Next year will be, that's going to be some awesome battles. That's a great conference, an absolutely great conference.
That's going to be really fun next year, how that dynamic changes for sure. All right, we're going to wrap up with some boys basketball talk here on the North Idaho Prepcast, presented by No Vape Idaho. Be smart, don't start. We've got their banner on our website, IdahoSports.com. You can just click that to take you to their website. You can also just type in No Vape Idaho. That's no with a K, K-N-O-W, No Vape Idaho, into your favorite web browser as well. All right, boys hoops, Scaggs. A couple of interesting non-conference matchups. Really, the big one was Bonners Ferry and Lakeside. They played last night. Badgers get the win, but stock for each of these teams is sky high, in my opinion. If we could just get the rest of the state on board with this.
Lakeside was getting slept on last year, and they won the state title. I don't think Coach Two Teeth really minds one bit that Lakeside's kind of just sailing in there quietly, looking towards state tournament time, but. That was a great game. It was a double-digit win for the Badgers, but you look at what they got production-wise out of that lineup against a really good opponent. That's something you like walking in towards the postseason with, having that feather in your cap, defeating the defending 1A D1 champ. You get 30 points from your leading scorer, and then you get, I think it was 3 other guys that were in double digits in the game last night for the Badgers. Great contributions, and Lakeside had some great, showings as Tyson Charlie got in the mix in that game as well, and there's a lot to come out that I don't think you hang your head one bit if you're Lakeside walking out of that game, because Bonners Ferry played in the 3A title game last year and realistically could do it again. As Christian says in the chat, I agree. It was a ton of fun. It was a great game, like a great game for both those teams, and I think that's the type of thing that you want to see if you're either coach going into postseason play.
Yeah, here's Christian Wiener, our IdahoSports.com colleague. Lakeside is really good and is going to be a tough out at state. Last night was a ton of fun, state atmosphere, and a tight game until the final minute. Yes, and Christian, of course, lives up there in Bonners Ferry, an assistant coach with Nathan Williams on that Bonners Ferry staff. Christian, if you know somebody, can you get me some basketball rosters from Bonners Ferry? We got to put them up on our site. Boys and girls basketball rosters. I'm going to put you in charge of that for varsity. We try to get every school's roster up on our website, IdahoSports.com. That's your special assignment for us, Christian. See, you comment, I'm going to put you to work. Sam commented last week. I've got him helping out on the broadcast tonight. Christian commented. I've got him working too. Nonstop.
Getting voluntold to do things. There you go.
Yep, for sure. Here's Christian. Yep, sure thing. Appreciate it. Thank you, Christian, as always. So yeah, that was kind of the big story in boys basketball. I do just want to quietly point out, and the Coeur d'Alene Press did a nice job of this. I think it was Mark Nelke in his weekly column, kind of talked about Lakeside, kind of bubbling under the surface, laying low. St. Mary's also very quietly putting together a very nice season. Not quite as good as we're used to seeing, but definitely the favorite in the 2A CIL. And it wouldn't surprise me if they got to state and were battle tested and ready to make some noise again. So,
well, where have we seen that before? Coach Chase led team going into state, battle tested, under the radar to make some noise. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen that before.
They brought back only 2 players that even suited up for varsity last year, and they were like end of the bench type guys. So what he does every year is just remarkable. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Another game that kind of flew under the radar last night, Potlatch and Kendrick that was a great game last night too. Kendrick ended up closing things out with under, I think it was 10 seconds left in the game. They got some big free throws down the stretch, and a great battle between 2 really good teams. That'll be a league matchup next year too. But the Tigers got the big win there, and over a really good, that's a state caliber team. That'll be probably a state team. Well, if Cammy I has something to say about that too, it's come district tournament time. But yeah, that was a big win for the Tigers last night.
It's between Cammy Potlatch, somebody's not going to make it, and it's going to be. It happened last year. Potlatch was the 3 seed. Cammy was the 2.
Yep.
Potlatch got him. So, yes, that top 3 in the White Pine going to be really fun to watch as we're postseason rapidly approaching. So,
was that a rock fight, which I believe is like your favorite saying currently, is those 2 just get into rock fights with each other. Yeah.
Right. Well, when I've used that, I'm quoting other coaches, but yes, rock fight seems to be a popular term for sure. Okay, let's wrap up with your boys basketball, North Idaho 9. Again, your power rankings of the 9 best teams in Idaho, regardless of classification. Here we go.
Yeah, so number 1, I got Coeur d'Alene. Number 2, Lapway. 3, Bonners Ferry. Badgers realistically could be moving into that 2 line very quickly. 4, Lakeside, still a very, very good team. 5, Kendrick. 6, Potlatch. And then the 7 spot for the final 9 is that meme that I posted last week of Lewiston, Lake City, and Post Falls. I will say this, Cammy is on that bubble kind of outside looking in. That's a team that's dangerous that nobody wants to face in the district tournament. That is a team that I realistically look at them kind of like a pressure cooker waiting to kind of go off.
Yep. It's going to be very interesting. And I'm so glad for the second week in a row. We've got this 3-way tie for 7th between Lewiston, Lake City, and Post Falls, because that allows me to put this incredible meme that you made last week up on the screen.
It still fits, man, because like they all beat up on each other. Yeah, it's whoever created the tie-breaking criteria for 5A for the second place, good luck. I don't know what it's going to come down to, but they've all kind of traded wins and losses with each other. So I don't know how that one's going to shake out, but it'll be fun.
Yes. And again, for those listening, we have the Spider-Man meme where there's 3 Spider-Men and they're all pointing at each other. Hey, you're the same as me. And it's Lake City, Lewiston, Post Falls, all pointing at each other. And I said, really, could a 4A team steal a win over one of these 5As? Hasn't happened. So that's why we're continually in this 3-way tie. So we will see.
I think it's going to go to the rock, paper, scissors or the 3-legged sack race on alternating Sundays. To use the basketball reference.
Right? Yeah, that's for sure. Okay. Well, That'll do it for this edition of the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. Oh, hey, before we get out, Sam. Hey, guys. Nice Spider-Man meme. See you tonight, Brandon. Let's have some fun. Yeah, sounds good, Sam. I'll see you in a couple hours. Boy, where did the day go? I got to get ready for this game. Man. All right.
Well, I think he's making his debut on Idaho Sports too, which would be great. That's awesome to have him joining the fun. He does a great job with highlighting high school athletics here in North Idaho in his own right, and he's well connected, and that's awesome to have him join with you tonight for the game. It should be awesome.
Yep. Should be a good time. So big thanks to everybody for tuning into the North Idaho Prepcast. Enjoy the competition this weekend, everybody. For Ryan Scaggs, I'm Brandon Baney. Next week, Scaggs, our regularly scheduled programming will be interrupted. We'll have our special girls basketball state tournament preview as a placeholder here on the North Idaho Prepcast. So you get the week off next week.
Does that mean that we get to do a wrestling breakdown like the week after?
Yes. So here's how it's gonna go is next week girls basketball state preview special, and then the following week we're gonna do a special Matt Chat state wrestling bonanza, right? On our Prepcast we will do state tournament preview for wrestling, state girls recap. Yep. Then the following week state boys basketball preview special, and then we'll do wrestling and boys basketball recaps all in one. In 4 weeks. That's very
I'll have my winter Scaggsy awards. So
yes, it's the Scagsies.
Yeah, they're coming. I've been taking notes. Like I've been making notes all through the year. Like, I mean, you can't just have one big night, but there's been some nice efforts that'll show up. There'll be some kind of under the radar picks this year. No spoilers yet, but there'll be some nice efforts that have been out there that'll get recognized from maybe some teams that aren't necessarily in the top 2 or 3 in their conference.
Yep. All right. Well, we are so excited for that, but we got to get there first. State championship events coming up, starting with our girls basketball state tournament preview special next week here on the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. For Ryan Scaggs, I'm Brandon Baney. We'll see you next time on IdahoSports.com.